So, hi everyone. Let's kick it off here and let's have an interesting talk. How are you doing, Mazen?
Good, thanks. Thanks for.
My name is Michael Sidler. I'm a founding partner of Redalpine, a premier venture capital investor in Europe in the early stages. And this is Mazen Rizk, whom you have seen on stage already, CEO and founder of Mushlabs. We have 10 minutes, so let's kick it off immediately. So on your website, you write that Mushlabs is a biotech company using fermentation to create the next generation of sustainable foods from the roots of mushrooms. Now the question, will mushrooms save the world, Mazen, and how do they do that?
Yeah, I strongly believe that they will. For a lot of different reasons that I'm happy to go a little bit into detail into. So if I ask here in the room how many people know mushrooms, everyone will raise their hands. If I say how many people have eaten mushrooms, everyone will raise their hands. And that is very important when we think about new ways of producing food, the emotional connection. And mushrooms bring that very, very strongly forward. What is very exciting and where we think mushrooms will really play a huge role in the future is they offer the protein and the good quality protein that we need. They offer fibers that are missing from the diet in Europe. They offer minerals and vitamins on top. And they offer this exquisite umami taste, which is very savory. It goes into meat or cheese-like tastes. And that is very natural. All of this is coming from the mushroom, and all of this as well is coming from the mycelium. The mycelium can grow on waste, like I mentioned before. So with that, the idea does not become anymore, do we want to replace meat only? It becomes, can we recreate a more circular food system, a more sustainable and healthy and nutritious food system? And this is where we see mycelium will cover all the aspects in order to do that.
So truly, you say mushrooms are magic.
The product's not yet, but...
Yeah. So I hear you have something like a speed dating platform between mushrooms and feedstocks. How does that work?
Exactly. So when we look at nature, the fungal kingdom is a kingdom on its own. So it's not plants, it's not animals, it's somewhere in the middle. And it has 6 times more species than plants. So you can imagine how much information is waiting to be unlocked. And this is exactly what we did and what we continue doing at Mushlabs. We test or unlock different feedstocks from the industry. Is that coffee waste, beer waste, dairy waste, whatever it could be, and then understand which mushroom actually works the best with that kind of waste to get a very highly nutritious, tasty product. We built this platform in the background, and we analyze 1,000 sets of data that comes into us every week or two to really understand how can we do that to get a very functionally good product, but how can we do a product that is also at price parity with animal-based products.
1,000, you say, a week. That's
more or less
awesome. Never heard of that. So you pair mushrooms, different fungi, with feedstocks. So what were the most successful combinations, and what kind of products are close to the market?
So we've done, for example, focusing on that, we were able to do products in the meat category that have 2 ingredients or 3 ingredients compared to usually plant-based products that have 20 plus ingredients. Already pre-launch at price parity with existing products. So that's one of the more systematic approaches. Some of the more exciting ones that we see coming in are caramel that we were able to do with 50% less sugar than normal caramel, or even cheese products that have 2 or 3 ingredients, totally vegan, but focusing on the mycelium that creates that taste for us.
So who would have thought that mushrooms are tasting like caramel? Something that I learned now. Interesting. Now let's talk about the production.
Yep.
Is it really almost as easy as brewing beer?
It is almost as easy as brewing beer because all you need is the mushroom cells, water, and something for the mushroom cells to grow on. And then you put them in the tank, similar to beer brewing, and then you let them grow. And the production usually takes us today less than a week. So
less than a week.
Less than a week is what it takes us.
How much volume, tons, kilos?
So to keep it general, we are looking to produce from one fermenter, I would say around 85 to 100 million products in a year.
85 to 100 million
products per year.
Pooh.
So that's
a product is like a package of meatballs, or
so that's a package of meatballs. Let's say.
All right. Okay.
So that is then almost around 2 to 2.5 million meatballs a week, or around 30 tons of ingredient per week.
Hard to fathom that. And when can I eat it? When does it come to the market?
So depending on which country we're talking about, I think we plan our launch next year in Europe, and Switzerland being one of the more exciting markets that we're looking at. But depends on other countries and regulations that we're going through. We will start next year with the first launch as planned.
So we heard about parity in price, in CO2 emissions, in quality. What about CO2 emissions when you compare that?
So as of today, we're almost 18 times less CO2 emittent than animal agriculture.
Wow, 18 times.
18 times. At the same time, we use 3% of the water that is needed for animal agriculture, and we use obviously way less land because everything is grown vertically. So we are able per year, if we have one fermenter running, to almost replace around 7,000 cows from pasture that are needed for meat production.
Could you imagine in the future to have mobile fermenters? Like you drive into a zone where food is needed and you produce it on site instead of flying in?
Absolutely, that's one of the bigger parts of our vision. I also originally come from Lebanon, so for me it's always very important to see what I can give back to my country, who's going through a lot of economic and struggles at the moment. And what we see is we are able to decentralize the system. The exciting thing is we will not do a burger in Germany and a burger in the US, Switzerland, and then go to Lebanon and do a burger. Because of the data platform in the background, we are able to locally produce food that actually makes sense to the community there, that fits to the culture, that fits to the cuisine and to the traditions. We have already developed more than 20 different products, and they range across so many of these different cuisines.
And so far, what you do is you basically produce foods that are already existing. You try to make a meatball, you try to make a cream cheese. Will you be able in the future to generate entirely novel sensory experiences? So go beyond, like take the next step.
Absolutely. So one of my co-founders used to work at the fermentation kitchen at NOAH, which helps us bring a lot of more emotionality and sensory experiences into the products we're developing. Like I said in the beginning, it's not only about replacing meat, it's about rethinking food systems. And as such, going into the future, we already have prototypes that completely taste new, that are completely new in terms of the sensory experiences. And that is something that we will continue looking at as we move forward.
Thank you so much, Mazen. It was a great pleasure, and I learned mushrooms will save the world.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Merci.